So when they go to make these models, it can get pretty complicated. There can be a lot of variables involved and trying to get a good model based on your data and stuff. And this is really more along the lines of research and taking some more statistics classes and stuff to be able to do that. But they talk about a um, correlational coefficient. And they just mention this briefly in the book, and they show you how to do it on a graphing calculator. But actually, I think there's better software out there that you could use. We don't require a graphing calculator for this class, so I'm not going to worry about that. But there is an example in the book if you want to look at that. We're mostly just interested in if they give us some data, because it would take a long time to gather this data, or it could. If they give us some data, could we predict kind of what a good model would be? And how good your model is dependent on that correlational coefficient. Okay. So here's an example 5. The graphs show the data for world population in billions for 8 selected years. So it looks like we're starting in 1950 and ending in 2020. So it says suggest 2 types of functions that would be good choices for modeling the data. Well, from the bar graph, it kind of looks like it's going up exponentially, so maybe an exponential model. Um, the number probably wouldn't be, the base would probably not be extremely big. And maybe I've kind of drawn the curve a little too much, maybe. But when we put it over here on a graph like a scatter plot, that looks pretty linear, right? Like you could pretty much draw a line between there, so it looks pretty linear. So maybe a linear model would be best. Um, so both of those would be considered good choices, and you could play around with that and find out, or you could get more data maybe and find out which model would be the best. Example 6 goes back to what I was talking about. It uses a graphing utility, so I'm not going to do that for this because we don't need to do those kind of problems. So, but that's pretty much it for this one.